Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and greatest news in the world of sports. I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
Back again for episode 2.
That's right. Episode 2 going to be 2 times better than episode 1. No, it's going to be just as good.
I'm going to hold you to that. Great. Yeah, it's going to be the best. We're going to update you guys on the NBA Finals and what we discussed on our last episode since, the Heat. Not the Heat, sorry.
Thinking of LeBron's old team.
Yeah. Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors played their game last night. And actually, you know what? Oklahoma City and Golden State played their game on Tuesday. So we'll go ahead and we can recap that as well. But Ben, if you want to get into the game last night between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, so game 5 last night, the Cavs and the Raptors. Really, I'd say more than anything, this series has me more confused because except for really game 4, every game has been out of hand so early. You know, the Cavs were up by over 20 at the halftime, and you didn't even. I kind of felt bad for the announcers having to announce the rest of the game, just sort of finding things to talk about because as far as the game itself, it was not even a game. Cavaliers just absolutely steamrolled them, and now we have to go to game 6 and see what happens. Really, the home court has been everything in this series. The home team's won all 5 games. We'll have to see what the Raptors can do in game 6, which will be tomorrow, Friday night.
Yeah, I tuned into this thing a little late. I was watching what we'll get into later. I was watching hockey, but it was. The Cavaliers came out and outscored the Raptors 37-19 in the first.
Yeah, they were already up by 18 at the end of the first quarter,
and then 28-15 at half. In the second quarter, by half they were already up by a sizable lead. This game wasn't really ever in doubt, and I think after the last couple of games, that's surprising. Because they have been closer, with the last game being a real close game, 105-99. So, excuse me, it was a surprise to see them getting kind of rolled that easily, almost,
Well, we did talk about the home court has been everything. In the 3 games Cleveland have won, all the home games, none of them have been competitive.
And they both had really good records at home. Cleveland had being 33-8, and then I want to say the Raptors only lost 9 games at home this year.
Yeah.
So both play really well at home. But I think one of the big differences for the Cavs is Kevin Love actually had a really good game.
He finally played good again last night.
Yeah, and the big Cleveland's big 3, Love, James, and Irving each scored 23, 23, and 25, with Love having the 25 there. And LeBron actually had some time to sit.
The game was so out of hand.
He only played 32, and he still played 32 minutes.
Yeah, he still played. If
you
you average it out 8 minutes a quarter, he probably didn't even play in the 4th, but
probably not really.
It's crazy because I think with how close this series is, 3-2. The average margin of victory in this series has been 21.8 points a game. That's the largest margin of victory in any postseason series in NBA history. And yet it seems like the Raptors still have a chance to.
Yeah, it's only 3-2.
Yeah, technically they have a chance to come back. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. I think Cleveland probably closes it out in Toronto because they really found a way to come back there in Game 4 when they were trailing, and they found a sort of the matchups they like, and I think they could probably exploit that in Toronto. But Toronto's technically not even out of it yet.
No,
they're getting blown out every game they lose.
Well, especially with the way, that's true. They do lose big. But with the way they're playing at home, I can't count them out. But then again, you assume it goes to Game 7, and then...
You got to give... but in a one game, anything can happen.
This is true, yeah.
Obviously, you don't want this to happen, but LeBron James injured his leg in the first quarter, and it's a different game than when he's there.
Exactly, yeah. Or some kind of injury happens, and of course, you don't wish that. But, yeah, it absolutely could happen that way. This game was just a weird game, Kevin Love was really good from the field. He was really efficient, 8 for 10, 3 for 4 on his three-pointers, 6 for 6 from the free throw line.
I think it's crazy they only had 2 rebounds, though.
Yeah.
Kevin Love is looked at as one of the best rebounders in the NBA, and especially when Toronto aren't scoring, they're putting up a lot of missed field goals. So,
Well, Tristan Thompson looked like he was handling it pretty well. He had 10 of the rebounds.
Yeah, he's a good he's a good defensive rebounder. He really cleans up the glass well. So
And that outdoes anybody else in the game by far, actually. The most rebounds on the starting 5 from Toronto was 4 by Biyombo, who actually kind of handled it.
He's a very good rebounder as well. So, But, I mean, the Cavaliers put up 116 points. They're not missing a whole lot of shots. You know, Toronto had, I think, 19 turnovers in the game, which led to 30 points for Cleveland off turnovers. And that's their game. They want to get out in transition. They want to run. They want to get LeBron attacking. You know, they did a lot better job of attacking the basket and getting to the free throw line a lot more. Game 4, they only shot 9 free throws. So,
yeah, and then with the Raptors, besides DeRozan, that's insane. He's 10 for 12 on his free throw attempts. Biyombo was 3 for 3, surprisingly. Lowry was 2 for 6, and DeMar Carroll was 1 for 1. Good percentages, but I mean, I feel like at that point, they weren't getting to the line as much as Kevin Love 6 for 6. James got there 1 for 3. Was he only had 1 attempt? Is that a free throw on a 3-pointer? I don't know. Tristan Thompson's 5 for 8. Kyrie Irving's 4 for 5. J.R. Smith didn't attempt any free throws. 2 for 2 for Jefferson. So
that's the only guy on the bench that took a free throw.
Yeah, they shot 75% from the free throw line, which is pretty solid, as opposed to 60 from the Raptors, which, I mean, it can win you games, it can lose you games. You know, it really depends.
Yeah, definitely. This game was out of hand, but crunch time, you know, free throws mean almost everything.
Exactly, yeah. If you have a game that it's kind of out of hand, it's not going to be as big of a deal. But, I mean, you kind of win and lose by free throws at times, you know, especially games I watch being a Kings fan.
Yeah.
You definitely lose games that way, you know? I'll tell you what. Definitely lose some games like that.
So Game 6 tomorrow night, Friday night. What does Toronto have to do to even the series and send it to a Game 7?
Well,
do you give them a chance?
I mean, I give them a chance because they're at home. Okay, I'll give them a chance because they're at home. But I'll tell you what, they had 18 turnovers last night, and when you're trailing, I mean that's compared to 16 of the Cavs. So it's not like, you know, they had 18 and Cavs had 4 turnovers, but when you're trailing by that much, I mean, Lowry had 5 turnovers on his own. When you're trailing like they did so quickly, that's not the kind of game. You need to be efficient. You need to be scoring the ball. You need to be playing defense. That's not the game you want to be in when you're, you know, losing by that much. They just need to have the tempo that they came out with in Game 4. They played really well in that first half of Game 4. And then the second half was kind of a different story. They need to put it together and have 2 good halves to really, I mean, that's obvious, but to really beat this Cleveland team who are playing really well, they need to come out and they need to play like they played in Game 4 or they're going home.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Raptors,
I mean, they're already home, but they're going to be
out of the series.
They're going to be going home to watch the finals on their couches.
As far as the Raptors, I mean, I think they really go as their guards go with Lowry and DeRozan.
Yeah.
So they have not been this whole postseason consistent. They're either having a great game or a bad game. One of them's doing good, one of them's doing bad. Mm-hmm. They're not being really, especially last night, aggressive. I mean,
yeah,
DeRozan only took 8 shots.
Yeah, DeRozan had 14 points. 10 of those points were from his 12 free throw shots.
Right, he only took 8 attempts. He's got to be more aggressive.
He only made 2 more shots from the field, and then 13 points from Lowry. He only had 2 contributed from his 6 attempted free throws, but he was 5 for 12 from the field. And
I don't think Lowry
4 from 3-point range.
I don't think he even scored until the second quarter.
I would have to look at his stat line.
From Kyle Lowry, he's got to be the guy putting the ball in the bucket.
As playoff teams, unless you have that kind of star, you know, like obviously it's not, you know, LeBron James. He's not a shooting guard or a point guard or anything. I mean, Kyrie is. But unless you have that marquee guy at a different position like LeBron, you need your guards to be, you know, you need him to be producing. You know, DeRozan played really well in Game 4. And you can't have 14 points on 2 shots from the field and 10 free throws. That's in the playoffs, that's not going to cut it.
What I think is so crazy is if you look at the plus or minus, DeRozan was minus 32. So if you don't understand what that means, is like when he's on the floor, they're negative 32 when he's on the floor.
Yep.
So not only is he not putting the ball in the bucket, but he's not playing good defense.
Yeah, and
I mean, when you're turning the ball over and it's leading to points in transition, it's really hard to play defense, especially when you have the freight train of LeBron James coming at you, probably the most physical specimen in any sport, not just basketball. So when you have that coming at you, you know, you can't really can't really do much on defense, but they got to play a lot more aggressive. They got to play a lot more smarter. They have the home game, which will play into their advantage. They did beat the Cavs in Game 3 and 4 on home, so
I think that's the only thing that's in their favor leading into the game tomorrow. I think having home field that's it right now. Home court, but that's it.
Do you think they close it out in Game 6, the Cavs?
You know what? I'm trying not to try to guess this one as much because these finals are so.
It's been so unpredictable.
So unpredictable, yeah. Both sides. So I really don't know. But we're going to get into a little bit more of the Western Conference Finals in a little preview of tonight's game and update from the last game here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. There's a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we're going to come at you with some Western Conference Finals news. The Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder play tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Golden State trailing 3 games to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll go back to the last game. It's a Tuesday night.
Yeah, Game 4
of our last show. Ugly game.
Right from the get-go, too.
Yeah, and what did we say? So the game, for those who didn't watch, Thunder won 118-94. They put up 42 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's where they really did a lot of their damage. They outscored the Warriors by 15 in the quarter.
Mm-hmm. Which was crazy because in the third quarter, too, the Warriors were outscoring the Thunder 21 points to 4 points. And it literally ended up being 29-22.
They went on that run to get the lead back.
They really closed it out. And then Golden State only scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. But what's the one thing you and I had said, excuse me, couldn't happen from Draymond Green this time around?
That he had to play well, and he did the exact opposite.
Points. He scored 6 points, 4 free throws, and 1 field goal.
Yeah, he only shot 1 of 7.
He was over 2 from the 3-point line. He was 1 for 7 from the field, and he made all 4 of his free throws. 6 points, 6 turnovers.
Do you think what happened in Game 3 with the suspension, not suspension, the kick to Adams had an effect on him?
No.
If the crowd booed the crap out of him every time he touched the ball.
If you're a professional athlete, I mean, you have to be prepared for that kind of thing. Yeah. You know? I just think he's had some bad games. He's not playing well, you know?
The whole team really hasn't played well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Steph Curry with 19 points. He had 5 free throws. He was 2 for 10 from the 3-point line and 6 for 20 on his field goal attempts. That is bad.
There's a lot of people talking about how he might still feel the lingering effects of his injuries, of the knee and the ankle. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's definitely. I mean, if he's still hurt, you're not going to go out of your way to tell the Thunder. You know, he's going to say, "I'm fine. I just need to play better." I think it's a very good possibility that is what's happening. You know, it'd make a whole lot of sense, but excuse me, he just doesn't. He's not making those threes like he normally does. You know, 2 of 10 is bad on anybody's standards, let alone the best 3-point shooter in the game. You know, Klay Thompson's really the only one that showed up in a sense. He was 4 for 4 for his free throws, 4 of 11 from the 3-point range, and 9 for 17 in his field goal range. Only 1 turnover. He had 5 rebounds, an assist, 3 steals, 1 block even. He has been the most consistent, I would say, of that starting 5. And then you have guys like Varejao didn't score. Iguodala played 34 minutes. He only had 8 points.
Yeah, he's mainly in there for his defense, though.
Iguodala?
Yeah.
He plays good defense. He had
a good
2 steals,
defender.
2 rebounds total, 1 on each side of the glass in offense and defense. But their bench, especially, you have 8 points, 5 points, 8 points, 4 points, 1 point.
Yeah, they're not getting any production.
They're not getting any production from their bench. And then you come over here, you look at the Thunder. The Thunder, same. They
don't play very deep,
Cantor's
though. They really only play.
He had 1 point, which how? Like, how do you only get 1 point? I mean, yeah, one for 2 on free throws. Obviously, that's how. But
the Thunder aren't that deep, though. They only play 7-8 people.
They're not that deep. But then you have Westbrook, who played 41 minutes. He had 36 points, 8 for 8 from free throw line. He had 50% percentage, 4 for 8 from the 3-point line. 8 for 8 from the free throw line, and he's 12 for 27 from the field. He had total of 11 rebounds.
Yeah, Westbrook's
from a point guard, 11 rebounds.
He's been really playing well, especially Game 4 the other night.
11 rebounds, 4 steals. I mean, he turned the ball over 6 times, but with the offensive production and the lack of offensive production from the Warriors, that's okay. You can deal with that. And then you have Kevin Durant, who played the exact same amount of minutes, 41. He scored 26 points. He's only 1 for 5 from the 3-point range and 8 for 24 from the field goal range, but 9 for 10 of his free throws. 11 rebounds also, 4 assists, 4 steals. So they both played very good, well-rounded games. He had 3 blocks, only 3 turnovers. That's kind of what you want out of those two. That's how you're going to win games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are talking about how Curry, you mentioned it, he probably is still hurt. He's probably still feeling those effects. Mm-hmm. But you know what? This is the playoffs. Every single player playing is hurt.
Yeah.
They may not have the effects of Curry, but no one's healthy in any sport ever, especially at the end of the season.
Don't get me started on Steve Adams, who can't stop rolling his ankles.
And he has the thumb injury, but Steve Adams is a gamer. He's physical. He's competitive. You have to take him off the floor in order to get him out of the game.
That's true. He's
big
Aussie.
Curry's probably not healthy, but you know what? I don't think that has anything to do with it. The defense of the Thunder is what's making the difference.
Well, I don't disagree. I think that they are really. That's why Did we talk about this last episode?
Yeah,
I said that if you have size and you can guard in space, that's one of the weaknesses that Golden State has. Is when you have size, they lack size.
Exactly,
and when you can guard in space with size, that's kind of their kryptonite. And not even to mention the effort that Westbrook has been doing with Curry.
Yeah, and it sort of goes the other way, is that Curry's having to put a lot of energy to stop Westbrook, try and stop the penetration, that he's burning some energy that he would normally have to use on offense.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, he had 2 steals last game. He had 6 turnovers, though.
Yeah, the whole team, I think they had 21 turnovers. And when the Thunder are out there flying, creating turnovers, running in transition, that's what they want to do. Westbrook in transition, there's probably not anyone else I'd rather have with the ball. He's probably the fastest player, so strong, so physical, so aggressive when he attacks the basket. And that's what the Warriors have to try and stop is, the Warriors probably the best offensive team.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think the recipe to try and slow down the Thunder is to play a slower game and not try and get out there and run. Because if you have those turnovers, the Thunder are going to run right back with you, and they're going to take it to the paint and score.
Yeah, I mean, Westbrook, the only thing I have with him the only kind of argument I have with him is I don't like that he tries to do it all on his own sometimes. I feel like he'll get the ball and he'll really try to go to the hoop himself and doesn't really give much of time to let things develop offensively. But I mean, he can do that. He does it because he can physically do that and take it to the hole and be productive.
Yeah, that's probably the one knock on Westbrook. I mean, don't get me wrong, he could play on my team any day.
Yeah, I'd take him on the Sacramento Kings. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we mentioned it the other day. He's probably the best point guard not named Steph Curry.
Yeah, exactly, and he's completely different styles too.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is a shooter, but he's not. I mean,
he wants to attack.
No one's a shooter like Steph is. That goes. I mean, nobody. There's a big difference in that, And not to mention, I mean, Steph plays really good defense, but Westbrook is really playing lights out defense on Steph himself.
Yeah, he's really shutting him down. He's forcing him into be spots he's not really very uncomfortable. And the Warriors, they're really struggling because the Thunder are playing how the Warriors want to play. They're playing kind of small.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the Thunder's players are so big and they can play on the perimeter. Like Durant, you could put at the power forward. He's not playing in the post.
He can
he's
stretch,
stepping outside. Ibaka, he can shoot the three. Andre Robertson is so long and athletic. He reminds me a lot of Iguodala.
Mm-hmm.
Play good defense, very, very lengthy, and he's trying to guard Klay Thompson. He's doing a really good job. It's really been the Thunder defense that's really shut
been
down
the
the
changer.
Warriors. And kind of the knock on the Thunder all year, they were a great team. They had 55 wins, so not like they didn't play well, but the knock on them all year was that they couldn't finish games.
Yeah.
They were letting teams come back, couldn't really put the nail in the coffin and win some games, but they're playing the best basketball they've played all season at the right time.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. So that leads me to my question: is what do the Warriors have to do tonight to get a win? In Oakland?
They, like you said, mentioned in Oakland, they're going to have that home court advantage. They only lost twice all year at home in the regular season, so that's going to be a positive for them.
But they've lost again already once at home.
Yep. So I think I mentioned a little earlier, I think they really need to kind of slow down, try and take their time, not necessarily attack the bigs, but try and pass it around. Obviously, they're going to still do what they do, try and hit the three-pointer. But I think they need to play a little slower. They can't afford to have 21 turnovers again.
No. And
they got to not turn the ball over.
Yeah, what I think they need to do is they need to slow it down, but they need to find a way to tire the bigs out at the same time. Ball movement. Slow it down, but move the ball around. Get Adams moving. Get, even Durant for the most part is a bigger guy. Eventually he's going to, and I feel like Westbrook's the only one that doesn't ever look like he's tired.
He's never tired.
Him and
he's like Rajon Rondo.
Yeah.
He never looks tired.
He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
He's just moving 24/7. Even when he's standing still, he's like Peyton Manning in the pocket. He's on his toes. He's dancing around. I think if they can tire the bigs out, and have that kind of ball movement that then opens up the key, and you have Harrison Barnes and Draymond kind of come in there and play a little big, then you can say, hopefully that keeps them, that pulls them in, and then maybe the perimeter shot becomes a thing again. They're gonna have to make what they are given, because they're not
take what they can.
Take what they can, exactly. They're gonna have to be smart because a lot of times, Curry makes the crazy ones, but when he misses them, they look bad, and you're like, and he makes them, you're like, oh, well, that's just Steph Curry. You gotta live and die by that, and so far they're dying by that the last few games.
If there's any team to turn this around and come back, it's the Warriors.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you on that.
I think more so what their problem is that emotionally this has affected them. They've never been in a hole like this.
No, not even last year. Last year was almost easier for them.
Yeah, like mentally, I think their psyche is not completely centered, and it's playing effect on them because the Thunder is the other way around. They couldn't have better confidence right now.
Oh yeah, they're full tilt right now. They're on cloud nine. They're trying to close it out.
Yeah, so Game 5, I think the Warriors probably win tonight just because they have that much pride. They are the defending champion. They do have the 2-time defending MVP with Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them losing 3 games in a row, especially with how good of a team they are.
Yeah.
So I think they probably come back and win tonight. But as far as the series goes, the Thunder are playing so good. I don't see them losing. I'd probably take them over either the Cavs or the Raptors right now as well.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you there. It's going to be a tough road for the Warriors if even with them winning tonight. So we'll have to see.
This series has been really unpredictable. Everyone thought maybe the Warriors would take it in 5 or 6, and now the only way they can win is to go to Game 7.
Exactly. So they need to win out, and they need to do it Warrior style because they haven't played Warrior basketball since the first round.
Yeah, even against Portland they struggled. Damian Lillard really played well.
Lillard played great.
He's such a good player.
He's played really well against them all year.
I think it shows you how good the Western Conference is when Damian Lillard isn't even an all-star.
Yeah, you have a lot.
Well, he's hard, but not to the team.
Well, think about it, man. You have guys like, and I don't say this because he doesn't deserve it, but there's years like Kobe shouldn't have made the All-Star game this year.
That always happens with the fan voting.
It's a fan thing,
How many times did Yao Ming make it? Because everyone in China is voting for him. And
exactly.
Yao Ming was a good player, but
the year Kobe didn't play because he was injured and he still made the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's Kobe.
That shouldn't be an excuse.
It's not, but that's how it is in every sport. Everything's fan voting, at least for the starting lineups. So you kind of got to take and choose, So
I agree with you. But we're gonna take one last break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we have an update on Jackie Bradley Jr. and his hitting streak. Chris Sale after his pretty disastrous start there.
I feel like we jinxed him. I feel so bad for him.
We'll talk about it. And a little bit of NHL news. Stay tuned.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we're going to update you on Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah, so we mentioned on Tuesday he had a 27-game hit streak, and within the last 2 days he has extended that hitting streak, hitting in both games. He's now at 29 games. So
29.
He's just over halfway to DiMaggio.
I said it.
Said 30.
I said he was going to reach at least 30. So they play.
They're playing Colorado again. It's still in that series.
No. Giants play Colorado tomorrow unless they're playing today to end the series.
Yeah, 3-game series. So.
Okay.
Yeah, they're playing Colorado today at 4 o'clock Pacific time.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there it is right there. 4:10. Ben, 4:10.
Well, if we want to get specific, okay.
You know what's crazy too is some more information about Jackie Bradley Jr. So he's currently right now he's tied at 29 games with Johnny Demon, as you claimed to call him last week.
Yeah, some of the Red Sox fans said that after he went to New York. I can't believe you hadn't heard that.
I probably have, but I forgot, I guess. But he is tied with Johnny Damon for the 4th longest hitting streak, and his currently 415 average during the stretch is second only to Tris Speaker of 424. I believe during a stretch of a hitting streak is what it sounds like. That's a very weirdly worded sentence, you know?
Bradley Jr. actually leads the AL in hitting now. He's passed his teammate Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
I think he's like 1 percentage point behind him, which,
well,
practically even. But I think the crazy stat is that Bradley Jr. was only hitting .222 until he started his streak.
Yeah, and then what I was telling you too before this episode got started is as great as Bradley Jr. is playing too, people seem to forget about Xander Bogaerts, who again is right behind him in average, and he has his own hitting streak going in 18 games. That's the second longest streak in the majors behind Jackie Bradley Jr.
And they're from the same team.
And yeah, that's crazy to have two guys who have. It's not going to obviously work because they play the same unless Jackie Bradley gets a couple days off. There's no way for them to both be in 20 games, but have multiple game hitting streaks, past if Xander keeps it up into 20s, and Jackie Bradley Jr. gets in the 30s. That's crazy.
Yeah, I
mean, I can't think of that happening off the top of my head. I mean, maybe it has, but I can't think of it happening ever. So that's pretty good. And then I mean, the Red Sox are cruising right now at the 29-17, 2 games above Baltimore in the AL East. I mean, they're not cruising like no one's going to challenge them, but with the kind of baseball they're playing right now, I'm really just interested to see where this hitting streak goes because they're just winning games.
Yeah, they're really doing it with the offense, too. Their pitching is so-so. They're really carrying games by scoring a lot of runs.
Yeah, exactly. Their last 4 games, they are actually, technically speaking, 6 games. They're 5-1, but this lowest run total they had in that loss against the Indians was 4. They beat the Royals 5-2. They beat the Indians 9-1. Indians 5-2, and then both games against the Rockies 8-3 and 10-3. They really are they are scoring runs. They're getting, and that's the good thing too is you don't have to get those 1 to 2 run kind of games from like nail biters from your starters. You give them a lot of leeway. A good offense is a pitcher's best friend.
There's a little leeway there to give up a few runs and be okay because the way they're hitting, they're really hitting the ball all over the place.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's what we saw too with Jackie Bradley Jr. in his hit chart. Is he has during his streak, he has 15 hits to right field, 14 hits to center field, and 15 hits to left field.
He's being really diverse.
Yeah, 3 triples. He's got something like 8 home runs, and then plenty of singles, plenty of doubles, and he's hitting it's not just singles, He's hitting, all arrays of hits.
He's got a lot of
streak,
doubles to left field. He's probably hitting a lot of those off the green monster, you think?
Yeah, he's got 6 doubles to left field of his 9. And then it's the craziest thing, honestly, is these singles. He's just spraying them just so evenly.
Yeah, he's really locked in his zone.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I want to watch some more Red Sox games coming up because I want to watch some of these at bats, and I'm afraid that I'm going to watch and he's gonna get like jinxed because I'm watching, which leads us to
he's got to get to 30 first, then
exactly. Then I can start watching.
And I think the way the Red Sox are doing it with offense not only is good for the game, but it's good for the fan because some of the knock on baseball is how long it takes, drags out, the time in between pitches, the time in between pitching changes, the amount of times the pitcher throws over to first base to try and pick someone off, and the more runs you're scoring, the more offense, more home runs, the more people are going to watch because they want to see these high-scoring games. I can't speak for everyone. Some people like the pitching duels, but the more runs, in my opinion, the better the game is because you have more plays to look at.
No, see, I'm a baseball purist. I don't hate that long game thing. I like entertaining games, whether it's a pitching duel, a bat battle, kind of thing like that. But I'll tell you what, though, as a Giants fan, as a San Francisco Giants fan, like their game started at 12:45 yesterday. It was in the 7th by like 2:10.
It's pretty fast.
It was a fast game.
Yeah, I know
and
that
it wasn't
some
it
pitchers
wasn't a
pitch a lot faster
game.
than others. So I know Cueto really likes to work fast.
It depends. Cueto works fast and slow because he really changes up his motion.
Yeah, he has like 4 or 5 different motions.
Yeah,
which is pretty interesting because
it's really cool.
As a batter, I would get really frustrated because he might fast pitch you, he might slow pitch you.
Yeah, he might come at you with literally his normal windup, but he pauses and he kind of swings his leg back and forth for a second. And it's so crazy too that he has all that done so well and he never balks.
No,
ever. I've never seen him balk, and obviously being a Giants fan, I've watched him more than this season than any season. But yeah, it's crazy to watch. But that being said, the games are still fast. It's just you have those games that of course, a no-hitter is going to be a longer game. At times they can be longer, at times they can be shorter. It really depends the pitcher.
Yeah.
And then you can have games that are, offensive powerhouse games that go 10-8, and those can be long games because
no one's getting out.
Yeah, or you can have, typical long games like the Dodgers with the 17 innings the other day. That's just baseball.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it. But we were saying about jinxing Jackie Bradley Jr., maybe if we start watching after 30, but you seem to think that we jinxed Chris Sale a little bit.
We might have. We mentioned him, and then his last start, which was on Tuesday against the Indians, he went out against Josh Tomlin, who also has an undefeated record, who was 6-0. Chris Sale went out, and he gave up 6 runs, which in his last 5 starts, he had given up 6 runs total. So he gave up as many in this start as he had in his last 5. So he's 9-1 now. The White Sox are still in first place in the AL Central, so it's not like he's still having a bad season. You can't throw a great game every game, right? You have your off days.
You have your off days. And like you were saying, he was charged for 6 runs after yielding 6 runs in his previous 5 starts. He walked 4.
Which he normally doesn't do.
Which he only issued 1 walk over his previous 3 starts, including a streak of consecutive complete games without 1 walk.
Yeah.
So he was off, and of course, there's days
That's
where you're
why
off
I feel
and
like
you need
we
your
jinxed
offense
him.
to pick you up. But Ben, I think you jinxed him. I think it was your fault. I think you jinxed him. I think you actually don't like the White Sox very much. So, I don't know, man.
Well, I don't have any hate on the White Sox. Well, Chris Sale, if you're listening, and any White Sox fan listening, I apologize. I won't mention him anymore. That way he wins every start from here on out, and then he'll just have the best season ever in baseball and win the Cy Young.
Ever in baseball. Well, they're first. I'm sorry, no, I'm still looking at the Red Sox. I'll pull that up in a second. But the White Sox are playing well. They are first in the AL Central by only half a game over the Orioles. But
Indians.
I'm sorry, Indians, Orioles.
It's okay.
He is pitching well still. He has. I want to say what is his ERA? I wonder.
Well, it probably skyrocketed now, but it was at like 1.5 going into the game. So
yeah,
even if it's giving up 6 runs, it's got to be barely over 2. We're gonna try and pull it up here to give you the exact amount, but this is his 10th start. He doesn't give up many runs. He's still got to be doing pretty well in his ERA. So
yeah, let's see, he's sitting down at an ERA of, where am I looking here? He has an
So
ERA.
many names.
I know, there's so many names. He has an ERA of
2.26,
which you could probably assume with 6 runs in one outing. Was it 5 innings?
It's still very good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's not typical Chris Sale. So you could probably assume it's going to be, what you can expect more out of Chris Sale.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, you can't have a good start every single game out. So
I think he'll be fine. Chris Sale.
He's
I
still
don't
the
think
best
one bad
pitcher in
start's
the
going.
AL.
Yeah, he's easily the best pitcher in the AL right now.
I just hope he stays healthy, especially with pitching. That's like the one position that always seems to have the injuries, the bad injuries. Tommy John has an injury named after him.
Yeah, that sucks. That's the one thing he's going to be known for the longest time. He was a great baseball player, Tommy John. That's what you're known for.
Yeah, an injury named after you. That's unfortunate.
That's rough, man.
Well, now he has I think he has now like a clothing line, or like a men's underwear line.
I don't think so.
I'm serious. You can look it up.
I'll have to look that up on my own time because that sounds weird, and I don't want to be weirded out and talk about it on this show.
Well, yeah, we'll leave that for another time. You can look at that on your own.
I'll do that at my house,
Your own
in my
time.
room, alone, because I don't need people judging me. But
Yeah,
maybe that's
make sure you
judging.
delete your search history afterwards. All right, but now enough about the baseball. We're going to talk a little about the NHL now.
NHL.
So the Sharks
Yes.
finally advanced to their first ever Stanley Cup Finals after a win last night. They beat the Blues in the Western Conference Finals. They won the game 5-2 last night, and they won the series in 6 games.
Yeah, man. I'm not. I mean, I am a hockey fan. I enjoy hockey, but
Playoff hockey's always good.
oh yeah, playoff hockey's
Even
always
if you're not,
good.
I'm not really a fan of the sport. Obviously you follow it greatly, but
I follow
playoff
it.
hockey's amazing.
I follow it probably least. Well, I'd say I follow football and baseball most, and then Kings basketball, not overall basketball, and I'd say I follow hockey. And I would say, I suppose, because I got into hockey, my brother-in-law got me into hockey, and he was somewhat of an Avalanche fan, but he was a Sharks fan too, so I'd say I would categorize myself as a Sharks fan. So it's nice to see them go, after 25 years as a team. This is their 25th year anniversary. They're going to...
Which, I mean, that's still pretty young.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at teams like the Red Wings or the Canucks, yeah, long time teams, But it's nice to finally see this team go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
And I feel like they finally got the weight off their shoulders. How many times every year were they the number 1 seed in the West, the number 2 seed in the West, the popular pick to win the Stanley Cup, let alone get there, and every year they would just fold. Like 2 years ago, they were up 3-0 against the Kings, and they ended up losing the series.
Well, the Kings are always a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, you're up 3-0 though in the series. You got to get that done.
Honestly, when going into this series before the series against the Blues, they played the Kings, and it kind of worried me because I just know their history with them. So I was kind of, here we go again, But it was one of the most entertaining hockey games I've ever watched. They were pretty much at the start of the fourth, they were winning 4-0, and then the Blues scored on a pretty solid attempt, kind of motion there to the goal there, and then 4 minutes later they scored again. They pulled their goalie, they scored again. It was just I'm sorry, the start of the third is what I meant to say, but they scored an empty net goal to end the game, San Jose, but it looked a little not. I mean, it got close there.
There was a
5-2 makes it seem like a little bit
nervousness because it was 4-2.
Yeah, exactly. It went from being 4-0 to 4-2 in a short amount of time.
Quickly.
Yeah, a really short amount of time, and it was. Like people were kind of like, oh man, here we go again. Are they gonna lose this game? But it was in doubt without ever being in doubt, or maybe the other way around. It was a very impressive game by the Sharks. I'll tell you that.
I think what's interesting about the Sharks this time around is that they finally got it done when no one expected them to. They weren't the top seed this year. They weren't the team that was expected to get to the Stanley Cup this year, and they finally got it done this year when I find it really ironic.
Do you want to know why they won it this year?
Go ahead.
I went to a game this year. I went
So
to my
you
first
need to go to a
professional
game
hockey
every
game
year,
this year.
and then they'll win.
Yeah, I
every
went.
year.
One of my buddies got married this year, and part of his bachelor party, we got Sharks tickets, and we went and we attended the Sharks game. And I had never been to a professional hockey game. I've been to plenty of semi-pro hockey games and such, but I actually got to go to San Jose Sharks game, and they lost.
Maybe that was like
2 or 3-0. Maybe that was the turning point.
the sign.
Yeah, I had to watch them lose so that they could win.
There you go.
You know, I mean, and the guys, I were with were too drunk to probably remember the game anyway, so who knows what they care. But I was super psyched to watch that game, and it was entertaining for the most part. I mean, it was a boring kind of 2-3-0 game, you know, but that's why they won.
Yeah, I'm really happy for people like Pavelski, Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau.
Yeah, all
They're
three
finally getting a chance to go to the Stanley Cup final.
And Pavelski knew it too. He knows they've never been, and he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
You don't touch that trophy. You want the Stanley Cup trophy.
Exactly.
He looked
that's
at
not
it.
That's not what they're there for.
He looked at it for maybe a second, and he knew what they were going for. That's not the trophy you want.
They ended it at home in San Jose,
which is
Center.
great for the fans. You know, to be able to witness that. You know, it's kind of, if I think of it with how passionate a lot of the Bay Area fans are, I kind of think of it as it took them to the the second time in 2012 when the Giants were in the playoffs. They won the NLCS at home against the Cardinals, and it was raining and pouring down rain and no fan left, and they finally got to clinch at home, which they had never done in 2010 in any 3 series, and I think that's the only time they've done it. They might have done it one more time in 2014 at home, but that was the first time they got to clinch the NLCS at home and send them to the World Series. And that's kind of what I thought of with this. There was a full house still. All the fans were there. Everybody was standing, and you know, you could just see the pure excitement from the Sharks, you know, the players and the fans themselves, you know. So it was really nice to watch, and I'm really happy for the Sharks, and I'm really excited to see who they play, because tonight is
Game 7,
Game
baby.
7.
Game 7 between the Lightning and the Penguins.
Most exciting game in sports that have these kind of series is a Game 7. And
I feel like there's always Game 7s more so in hockey than other.
Hockey
is
like
always a Game 7
It's
in
hard to sweep teams in hockey, man.
Yeah, hockey's so much, especially in the playoffs, you have to have such a hot goaltender.
Yeah. And that's what it was. It was really interesting too last night.
Ironically, on the ice, you have to have a hot goaltender.
Yeah, but it's really interesting last night too. Is the Blues pulled their goalie, scored again, right? So it's 2-4, and they put their goalie back in so that they could sub him out for their second goalie, who is better at, if he needed to be on the ice, because they ended up pulling him again, he can advance the puck down ice, and he's a good handler of the puck, you know. And I thought that was just really, like, even then, you know, like, fans are like, oh man, we're just going to lose this game. It was awesome to see just that little intricate detail, you know, because they never thought they were out of the game, and that was really cool to see. So definitely a really fun game to watch. Interesting to see what's going to happen tonight. I used to kind of pay attention to the Penguins a bit, being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I was like, maybe I like the Penguins, you know.
Yeah.
But I ended up obviously liking the Sharks a little bit more. Don't know much about the Lightning other than what I've seen from them this postseason, but I'm really interested to see who advances and who's going to take on the Sharks. If the Penguins win, I want to say I forget if the Penguins win, I think they play in San Jose. I forget.
To start the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yes. Let me see if this report tells me. Excuse me.
We're trying to figure out who would have game 1.
I know if... I want to say if the Penguins win, they play Monday.
For game 1.
In game 1 in San Jose. It's just... I forget who the higher seed is right now. Because I just, comparing the two. But yeah, I want to say it's at home. If it's the Penguins, it's going to be in San Jose. So, and which would be great too. They finally get to host a Stanley Cup. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, we mentioned after all the trouble they've had of sort of being a letdown. They can finally call themselves winners of something. Obviously, the work is not done. You're not here to win the Western Conference. You're here to win the Stanley Cup. But they can finally call themselves winners of something because they finally got it done.
I mean, at the very least, you have that Western Conference win. But you're right. They're not there for that. They're there to win the ultimate prize.
They can finally keep their beards going longer than...
Those guys never shave their beards. It's like...
Yeah, it's a superstition. You got to have the playoff beard, man.
But they don't shave it no matter what. It's funny. It's almost like they haven't shaved him in 25 years. In the whole time. No, not literally.
I mean, some of these guys, like, have you seen Thornton's beard?
Thornton and
it's
Pavelski
amazing.
Have insane beards.
Hockey guys have the greatest beards.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. These beards. There's a guy, I want to say it's Pavelski maybe. I always forget. He has 3 missing teeth, a beard down to his pecs. It doesn't look brushed. It doesn't look cleaned.
Yeah, and they're never tamed. They're always just wild.
You can't take a
that's
tame
part
hockey
of that's
player.
part of it though. It has to be wild.
Oh yeah, you can't tame a hockey player. But we're really interested to see that game. You got anything else for me today?
I think we're good, man. I think we touched on everything.
I think we literally touched on everything: baseball, hockey, basketball. That's everything.
Yeah.
And that's a man
as always,
whose word is gold. That's Chris Sale.
Podcast.
See you next time.
As always,
I'm Alex. We'll be seeing you next week. We don't have a show until Tuesday, so
We have 5 days worth of sports to brush up on.
Yeah, we might just have hockey finals and basketball finals set up by our next show.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the Western Conference Finals, but
we will definitely have hockey finals set up.
Yeah, we'll know by the end of the night.
And the first game in the books, actually. So we'll get you some information on that, and we should have at least one of our basketball finalists there in the running.
Yeah, because if for some reason the Raptors were able to win tomorrow in Game 6, Game 7 should be on Sunday.
Exactly, and Game 7 for the Warriors would be Monday if they had needed it.
I believe so, yes.
So we should have both by then.
Yeah. Regardless of if it goes to Game 7s or not.
Exactly. So big week in sports, and we will have all of that for you next week here at the Golden State Media Concept Sports Podcast. As always, I'm Alex.
And I am Ben.
And we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow all the podcasts. We have a lot more coming out, a lot of great ones. Make sure you listen to all of them. They're all really, really interesting. They all have a certain genre for everyone to touch up onto, not just sports related. So give it a look, give it a chance. You're going to enjoy them, I promise.
And that's a man whose word is gold. That's Chris Sale.
Oh, come on.